2025 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week begins in the UAE.
As National Assembly reconvenes plenary, passage of 2025 Appropriation Bill, tax reforms bills in focus.
Senate Committee on Information and National Orientation rejects Ministry's 2025 budget of 8.9 billion naira.
And good morning, Nigeria. Today we'll be celebrating Nigeria's heroes.
All right, the armed forces of Nigeria make up the first line of defense in protecting the country against external aggression.
Yes, Claire, it's been said at many fora that without the stabilizing efforts of the armed forces, governments, reform policies and economic theories would have little impact.
Today, Wednesday the 15th of January, Nigeria joins the rest of the world in marking another Armed Forces Remembrance Day, highlighting key milestones reached in the past year and also honoring the dedication and resilience of service fighting men and women. Now, both serving and retired are also included.
In all states of the Federation, tributes will be paid to veterans of the armed forces for sacrifices and deep appreciation for their role in safeguarding the nation.
So the preparations began in October last year with the Nigerian Legion Humanitarian Day on the 2nd of October 2024. Now later, President Tinubu launched the Armed Forces emblem. That was on the 23rd of October 2024. Now, there were also religious services and wreath-laying ceremony expected to take place later today by President Tinubu at the Cenotaph here in Abuja. It's a place which symbolizes remembrance, respect, as well as the original burial place for Nigerian soldiers who paid the supreme price fighting to safeguard the territorial integrity of our dear nation.
Well said, Claire. Now, governors will also lay briefs simultaneously at cenotaphs in their respective states in honor of the country's heroes. Recall that more than 134 billion naira was earmarked for security debarment allowance for military veterans in 2023, while a phased implementation of the security debarment allowance for the hitherto excluded veterans commenced in January 2023.
Now, let's be gender specific now. Female military veterans are no longer silent. They are now speaking out to draw attention to challenges confronting retired female members of the armed forces. They are being given visibility through the Female Military Veteran Association.
Yes, Claire. Concerned persons are insisting that this segment of Nigerian veterans have been consistently invisible. Their invisibility has also not been acknowledged by many.
So far, some attention is being directed their way to address issues such as difficulties in housing, disability, and the needs of female soldiers, including the elderly, now many of whom are now struggling with poverty.
Well, today's program is especially dedicated to the country's armed forces. We will celebrate their successes, prefer solutions to the challenges so as to make life better for them. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria this Wednesday. I'm Henry John.
And I'm Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak. I also welcome you to the midweek episode of the program. It's going to be a very solemn conversation today, and as we celebrate both the serving, retired and fallen heroes who fought for our nation. But before, of course, that conversation will commence, we will take the highlights of the morning news, and thereafter, Chukwudi will join us here for a review of the day's newspapers. Mina Daniel, who's been back from a well-deserved but long and short break, is here for the news. Mina, good to have you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Hello, and hello to Henry. Good morning, here's the news. The 2025 Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week has officially opened in the United Arab Emirates capital with the Zayed Sustainability Prize. It was reported that a Nigerian company is one of the awardees in the 70th edition of the prize, winning $1 million for its innovative technology in food production. The Senate has reconvened plenary after the Christmas and New Year break with renewed commitment to collaborate with the executive for overall development. The sitting commenced with the confirmation of appointees of President Tinubu into the board and management of the Southeast and Northwest Development Commissions. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, assured Nigerians that the Red Chamber will work meticulously on the 2025 budget proposal under consideration with the usual patriotic zeal. He also hinted plans to further amend the Electoral Act. Passage of the 2025 Appropriation Bill and the tax reform bills before Parliament have been listed as priorities as the House of Representatives resumed plenary after the Yuletide. The House is also advocating increased funding, provision of modern equipment, and enhanced welfare packages for the armed forces of Nigeria. And considering the place of information management in promoting government policies and programs, the National Assembly has rejected the Ministry of Information and National Orientation 2025 budget proposals, describing it as inadequate. The legislators seek special intervention to support the ministry and its agencies in discharging their duties.
Our representatives here pay attention to what happens in this sector. It is our job to tell Nigerians what every ministry, what every agency is doing. Of course, they have the responsibility to also, dance to their own music, but it is our job generally to put that forward.
The Nigerian Customs Service has announced the generation of more than 6.1 trillion naira for 2024. In a news conference highlighting its operations in the previous year, Controller General of the Service, Adewale Adeniyi, emphasized that the agency surpassed its revenue target of 5.07 trillion naira by 22%. While electricity is the lifeline of any economy, rail, on the other hand, attracts development. So this explains how critical the two projects are to the growth and development of the society. Now the residents of Abuja are caught in between the two needs as roads and power projects are ongoing concurrently, and respite seems to be in the offing for a timely completion. The Federal Court of Appeal sitting in Kaduna has reserved judgment on the case challenging the appointment of Malam Ahmed Nuhu Bamali as the 19th Emir of Zazzau. The case is an appeal by the former Wazir in Zazzau, Ibrahim Aminu, who is dissatisfied with the earlier judgment of the Kaduna State High Court, which dismissed the case for lack of merit. Mohammed Omar Jingi reports that the appellant and 13 respondents argued their case before her lordship. And that is the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues shortly with Claire and Ian after the break. Do stay tuned.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
The dry season is here again, and it is time to take action. Let's clean our drains, canals, and waterways to keep our environment clean and healthy. Do not dispose of waste in drains. Do not build on waterways. Do not dump waste materials in gutters. Do not litter the road. Avoid bush burning. Together, we can reduce global warming, mitigate the effects of climate change, and preserve our environment. Let's clean our drains, protect our land, and build a safer future. Let's keep all waterways clean before the next rainy season to reduce the impact of flooding. Climate change is real, and we all have a role to play. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation.
The new Harpic sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just 1 sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Harpic sachet.
Good morning.
Good morning. Why is your sun shining like this?
Can't you see that Harmattan season is here? We need to protect our children from this dry weather.
What about the invisible germs?
Invisible germs?
During Harmattan, it's not enough to only protect your skin. You also need protection from these invisible germs. To protect our families, we use Dettol.
Harmattan season brings a lot of germs, but Dettol with Germ Defense gives protection from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol Sure.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
We're live in the open market for Harpic 10X Challenge. My people, today I will show you how the power of new Harpic 10X gives your toilet a better cleaning than bleach.
Than bleach?
Yes, so.
Impossible.
Toilets have stains which bleach cannot clean effectively. But Harpic is thicker and sticks better, which gives 10X better cleaning versus bleach and kills germs.
Oh, wow.
You can now see that Harpic is better than bleach.
The counsel of our fathers My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
All right, welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Before we get into the papers this morning, as we usually do, let's take a trip to Dubai, where our correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab is standing by to feed us with the latest at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, where he's attending. And of course, we know that the president is also there. Musbah Dan Wahab, we know a Nigerian shone yesterday at one of the awards. Tell us, what's the latest at the moment?
Right, thank you so much, Inyere. Today is the second day of the 2025 Abu Dhabi Week, which started officially yesterday with the opening ceremony. President Bola Tinubu was one of those leaders who participated in the event and the opening ceremony, and today is also going to make his presentation, Nigeria's commitment to sustainability, which the government of United Arab Emirates is trying to drive. So the president is going to make his presentation today. Just a few minutes away from now, the event will soon start. You can see the arrival of some dignitaries. We already have some guests seated here. And yesterday you mentioned how a Nigerian company, NAFAM specifically, won one of the awards in the 6 categories of the prizes given out yesterday under the Zayed Sustainability Prize. Now let's talk to the Minister of Environment, Nigerian Minister of Environment, Mr. Balarabe Lawal, who is going to talk to us about what Nigeria. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your time. We'd like to find out what is the stake, or what are those things that Nigeria has to gain from this event?
All right. Thank you very much. To us, Nigeria, this is a very important event. This is the 15th event that is taking place today. And this is the first time that Nigeria is coming with a very high delegation to this. And this is because we found out that this is an event that attracts a lot of people from the government, from the private sector, and from all those that are dealing with the issue of environment accessibility. So it's very important for us to be here. And since we came in, there are 3 segments to this program. The first one happened last 2 days, where we discussed the issue of energy. And I'm sure you know that in Nigeria we have issues of energy, particularly in the area of power, and trying to get sustainable power for our entire country. The second segment is the one that has to do with climate, the climate finance, which happened 2 days, a day after the first one, which I think also finished. So we are here because we feel that this is an opportunity for us to meet with a number of stakeholders in the area of environment. And Mr. President has participated yesterday and is going to deliver a speech today. And we are going to discuss some of the things that Nigeria is grappling with, particularly the area of forest, because Nigeria is facing critical issues with regard to our forests. Our forest cover, which is about 9% now, is short of the 25% that is the minimum. And one of the things that is being discussed here is the issue of forests and the issue of circular economy and the issue of clean cooking. I just spoken to the Minister of Environment from Singapore, who is willing to support us in the area of our clean cooking policy that has been approved by the federal government last year. So I think this is a place that we should have been. This is the second time we are attending, and I feel that we are going to gain a lot from it. There are a lot of takeaways that I think will benefit Nigeria greatly, particularly in the area of environment, energy, and also in the area of agriculture, because we're talking about agroforest, which is equally important as far as Nigeria is concerned. Thank you.
Okay, did you say this is the second time Nigeria is participating in this event? Okay, now the president is going to be one of the leaders to make presentation, to deliver a speech at this event. So can we have a peep into his presentation? What commitment is Nigeria making towards the sustainability efforts, sustainable development, and of course the renewable energy drive that we are looking at?
All right. I think the president is, in fact, based on the topic that is has been given is going to speak for the entire African continent in the area of afforestation, in the area of sustainable development, and in the area of clean energy. So Nigeria stands to gain a lot, and I think our 3 African leaders are going to also speak today. But the president will have the lead because his own topic is on the imperative of sustainability and the link with the African issues that relate to environment. So the president, he's going to mention most of these areas that we're talking about, the issue of afforestation, the issue of climate finance, and also the issue of trying to clean our environment in the area of circular economy and the rest of it. So I think his speech will go a long way in trying to address some of the key issues that relate that affect Nigeria in the area of climate change and sustainability.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you.
All right, we wish you a successful event. And now, just any moment from now, we expect the leaders to be coming into this venue. And remember, 13 leaders from across the country were invited, participating, 5 of them from Africa. And President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria is one of the 5 selected from Africa. So we expect the event to start any moment from now and to hear what the president has to say to this event. Back to you, Yere and Claire.
Musbah, just before we let you go, if you're still with us, yesterday Yere talked about the Nigerian who won the award, the Zayed Award, Nat Farms Foods, and he won the award. Well, we've lost Musbah there, so let's get back to our normal routine programming. Chukwudi Okudugbaja is right here with us for the newspaper.
That was a wonderful intervention. And when it comes from the lips of Musbah, I'm extra excited.
Yes, he's doing well. Can we start? All
right, let's see the papers. Chukwudi, thank you for your patience. We'll begin with the blueprint. The blueprint leads with ex-CDS Irabo at Armed Forces Day. War veterans protest over entitlements mustn't be allowed to fester. War veterans protest over entitlements mustn't be allowed to fester. Rider urges tax rebate, post-traumatic stress disorder facility for retirees. Both that appropriation tax reform bills reps priority in 2025. That's coming from the Speaker. Away from that, CBN sanctions 9 banks for failing to dispense cash via ATMs. That's on page 21. Above the masthead, Wike signs 5,481 C of O, 5,481 C of O in 1 year. Allottees get documents in 2 weeks. That's on page 10. Away from that, let's just see 1 or 2 more stories in front of the blueprint. 2025 budget for Information Ministry grossly inadequate. That's according to the Senate. Rider, National Assembly proposes 12 trillion revenue for customs, 180 billion naira for NDIC. And finally, from the front page of the blueprint, in a green strip, FCT police snap 348, recovered 10 trucks, vandalized metals, 26 manhole covers. That's on page 7. The Daily Asset is next. Daily Asset leads with Defense Ministry demands 20 billion naira for families of deceased soldiers. The rider seeks improved funding to battle bandits in Northwest. And one more on the front page right here, we have Lagos mandates CCTV on high-rise buildings. That's on page 20. All right, Claire.
Okay, let's take a look at the New Telegraph. And it's leading with insecurity. Simon Ekpa's arrest in Finland reduced tensions in the southeast. That's according to the CDS. Says, of course, there are riders there. And picture story, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the UAE Sustainability Week in the United Arab Emirates yesterday. Below that, AGF Fagbemi confirms return of $110 million stolen assets. Now, CBN fines 9 banks 150 million naira each for failing to dispense cash via ATMs during the Yuletide. It's on page 3. CBN fines 9 banks 150 million naira each for failing to dispense cash via ATMs during Yuletide, and leads security agents to crack down on illegal cash hawkers. And food security, federal government deploys tech to enhance food production, targets self-sufficiency and exportation. And farmer header crisis, NASDAQ's livestock minister has 11.8 billion naira budget insufficient for ministries take off. And there are quite a number of other stories. Just one more before Chukwudi comes in. PMS improved local refining, cut importation by 68% to 119 million. Sorry, I take that again. PMS improved local refining, cut importation by 68% to 119 million liters. Chukwudi, I actually wanted to ask Musbao, the Nigerian who won the award yesterday in UAE, won for his for innovation in homegrown foods. And I thought that was significant. I wanted to know what kind of food, won him the award, and it's in sync, aligns with the story we have on the front page of our leadership, talking about self-sufficiency and federal government deploying tech to enhance our food production.
Nigeria is a land of innovation. Nigeria is a land of creativity. What you usually ask for is further enhancement of the environment to let people realize their potential. Nobody has ever had an iota of doubt that we really, when called up, perform to the expectation of everyone. So I'm not surprised that that delicacy won because Nigeria is the home of delicacies. You cross cultures, you stay there. When I had not started traversing the little bit of Nigeria I've gone to, I thought apple and rice were the only delicacies in the world, yam. You go to a place like Jos, for instance, you get treated to cereals, and you say, thank you, God. And you find out that...
And you get to Benue. Of course, they're the
every
food basket of the nation.
So I'm not surprised that our candidate, sister got the award.
Yeri, I don't know if you've seen those clips. Clips of some foreign chefs. Turning our pounded yam, amala, and I was surprised. In fact, the way he was stirring the amala. That's the cassava flour.
Remember that the soldier actually produced the yam pounder way back in time.
Oh, really?
You're not aware of that?
No.
Oh, yes. A Nigerian soldier, actually, an officer, the yam pounder. Yeah.
Wow.
So we always have it there. The enabling environment is what we ask for, so that Nigerians can happen naturally.
And you see what happens now with the modern chefs that we have, what they do with our local delicacies. They presented, international forums, and then you're surprised. You're like, is this the eba and the akpu I eat back home? Well presented and very
nobody needs
tasty.
to hide that it is Nigerian rice they are selling, because Nigerian rice is now up there. Let's not mention any brand so we don't advertise, but I was surprised when they told me that the particular brand was Nigerian rice. So we are really, the milling process has been upgraded. It's just like bread. Nobody produces poor bread anymore, because competition has made it mandatory for you to be up there.
Like you
Otherwise
said,
you lose the market.
Like you said, the enabling environment, and then innovation and technology to infuse sustainability. That's
it's
just
all within the environment.
That's just what we need.
Yes. So we're really getting there. The Armed Forces Day, we just have to, say thank you to these men in uniform. A soldier is a man of integrity. Don't give me the crap about his working for his pay. Would you allow yourself to go pay the supreme sacrifice, make the supreme sacrifice, just because you are paid 2 billion in a month? So they are men of valor. They are men whose integrity should be cited wherever we are. And Claire, I dare say, I hope, and this is a bit debatable, is the soldiers, is the army that has been keeping this country together. The shenanigans we show in public life, in CV life, you go to the barracks, they're highly minimized. Who wants to know whether you're a Yoruba, Efik, or Iwira? So the soldiers have to be praised. Like but let us give them their entitlements as at when due. It is very important.
Like the producer rightly put it, they are the first line in our defense and protecting the integrity of this nation. And I always at times like this, I always recall our trip to Maiduguri, and because you see the memory will never fade. When you visit soldiers in the front line at their duty posts, fighting battles, it sticks. It's something that, it's a memory that you carry for the rest of your life.
And they too appreciate your being there because you've humanized their job a bit.
You really need to see these men. So whenever you see a soldier, and whenever I see any, soldier anywhere, I give them that respect. If I'm on the queue to buy anything and I see a soldier, I shift. Usher, please go ahead. Because it's not the person you are respecting. It's
they get on
a uniform.
They get on an airplane in the UK or US.
Yes.
The entire plane recognizes that a member of the armed forces is on board.
Like you rightly say, it's not the amount they get. It's the fact that they know that when they go out there, chances are that they may not survive.
Oh, sure.
Yet, I don't know how many of us here will know that doing this job, this is, God forbid, in the course of doing this job, you may not. Really, will you take it up? No. So it's a great sacrifice that those men, yes, and we are not just restricting to soldiers. We are only saying today is the day to remember and honor this category of people. Other arms of Nigerian military also are equally important. Chukwudi, we've exceeded our time by almost 5 minutes, and we are in order, I guess.
It's the pleasurable Musbao intervention. I love it.
I forgot about
Reporters are everything.
And Musbao just walked away when I needed him most. Anyway, we'll get him back. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in color, we turn down in demand, we make solutions, we ignite passion, Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just
we are Nigeria, strengthening unity, we know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house.
Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter. But there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever. The story of our lives.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and that God has kept, together as one indivisible entity.
Hey, come and see the cool sales in here. Everything's on discount.
Yeah, I saw it already. But you know what? I've been thinking we should focus more on making things than just buying stuff.
What? You mean we shouldn't go for these awesome...
No. Hear me out, Nkechi. We are always chasing after new toys, upgrading gadgets, and buying things we don't really need. But what if we use that money to create something special?
Like what?
Anything! Instead of getting another fancy pair of shoes, we could start our own cool business together.
You mean we should become entrepreneurs?
Exactly! We could use our smart thinking to make something awesome for people. We might even make a big difference in our neighborhood.
You know what? You're right. We can learn a lot about money too.
Awesome! Let's be the heroes of our own story. Together, we can make a big change and break free from just buying stuff all the time.
One right action can make a big difference, right?
All right, you're right on time. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Before we begin our conversation this morning, which is a special package celebrating Nigeria's heroes, let's take this background report put together by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day is annually observed on the 15th of January to celebrate servicemen of the Nigerian Armed Forces. It also honors veterans of the World War I and II, as well as the Nigerian Civil War. In 2024, the name was changed to Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day to celebrate members of the armed forces still serving and remember the fallen heroes, thus correcting the notion that the day is meant mainly for the fallen heroes. Being a former British colony, Remembrance Day was formally celebrated on 11th of November as Poppy Day, in honor of the end of the First World War. Upon the government victory against Biafran troops on the 15th January 1970, the day the instrument of surrender was handed over to Olusegun Obasanjo by Philip Effiong of the Biafran Army. Hence, the holiday was moved off the calendar of the Commonwealth of Nations and was changed to 15th January in commemoration of the conclusion of the Nigerian Civil War that sought to tear apart the unity of Nigeria. Events are held at the federal, state and local government levels. Over 2 months prior to 15th January, the Ministry of Defense inaugurates a 25-man National Planning Committee for the celebration preparations. Military parades often involve the participation of a guard of honor from the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force. The peak of all events held is the wreath-laying ceremony done by the President of Nigeria at the National Cenotaph in Abuja's Eagle Square. 36 federal cenotaphs are also placed where special ceremonies are held as well. Special prominence is also given to the Nigerian Legion, a veterans association which organizes many events on this day alongside the government. Beyond this annual celebration, many have, however, emphasized the need for better welfare packages for the military, especially the retired personnel, whom they believe are not getting enough for the sacrifices they made to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. As the welfare of members of the armed forces improved, what efforts are being made to ensure they are well taken care of? We have guests joining us shortly to speak on these and more.
All right, that was Oyeyemi Ajayi giving us a background report. And we have a guest ready. Let me welcome Commander Musa Salmanu, retired. Of course, I should add Dr. Commander Musa Salmanu, PhD Security and Development Expert. He joins us right live here in the studio. Welcome and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you
doctorate.
It was a long, tortuous journey, but we thank
it's
God.
Worth it.
It's worth it, and we thank God for the support that was given by everyone, especially the lecturers and classmates. Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we also have here with us another powerful lady, Morenike Henry. She is the National Coordinator, Female Veterans Association. We told you about the Female Veterans Association and their cry, for some form of visibility also. Now, the National Coordinator is right here with us, and we are very glad to have you with us on this special day.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning.
All right, also joining us for the conversation all the way from Jos is Major Gabriel Adofeku, retired security consultant, the MDCO Damex Consultants Limited, development and security consultant, a one-time Secretary General, retired Army, Navy and Air Force Officers Association. He's also currently a consultant on integrated community development initiatives in some states in Nigeria, Ghana, and Sierra Leone. Many thanks for joining us, Major Gabriel Adofeku, retired.
It's a pleasure being around with you.
Again, let's start by, welcoming everyone to Good Morning Nigeria on this very special day. I'd like to start my question from, with Wing Commander Dr. Musa Salmanu. Our correspondent, in the background report, they already mentioned some of the very significant features of a day like this. What we're likely to see. But I'd like you to, take us through some of these traditions and ceremonies that are associated with, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And why are they so important?
Well, thank you once again. A day like this is very important, not just for the veterans, like you've heard with the reporter. It has a history. It's grounded in the facts of celebrations right from the colonial heritage, the world wars, and up to when we in Nigeria...
All right, sorry, I have to interrupt you. We told you that Mr. President will be making a presentation, and we join him right now in the UAE.
Emirate is Aina Sheikh Mohammed bin Said bin Sultan Nayar, for inviting me to this Abu Dhabi Sustainable Week. I thank the government and good people of Abu Dhabi for their generous hospitality and foresight in organizing this event. This week, leaders from all over the world come together to exchange views and perspectives on how we can collectively address the global challenges of our time. The topic assigned to me for discussion is climate imperatives into economic prosperity. This topic resonates deeply with Africa's aspirations and challenges. It also underscores a pivotal reality about our dear continent. The fight against climate change is not merely an environmental necessity, but a global economic opportunity to reshape the trajectory of our continent and the global energy landscape. As leaders, stakeholders, and citizens of our planet, we stand at a crucial and critical junction in human history. To succeed, we must innovate, collaborate, and decisively collaborate as a global community. As Africa's most populous nation and one of its largest economies, Nigeria recognizes its responsibility to demonstrate the required leadership on these matters. We have embraced a vision of sustainability that aligns with global aspiration while addressing the local realities. Our efforts are anchored on three pillars: energy transition, climate resilience, and sustainable development. My administration, we recognize this problem from the word get-go, from inception. We recognize the importance of reducing carbon emission and a just transition to clean and renewable energy, promoting environmental sustainability and economic growth. Energy transition, their delegates and all the excellencies. Our energy transition plan, like many nations, are aimed at diversifying energy sources and reducing our dependency on fossil fuel. Prioritizing the transition to cleaner energy sources as a cornerstone of our national development strategy. Nigeria is committed to achieving a net zero emission by 2060, in line with global climate objectives. We are developing the infrastructure to utilize compressed natural gas and electric vehicles. Nigeria also is investing substantially in energy generation through exploration of efficient and internationally satisfied data required to export our solid mineral and critical metal in support of the green energy transition. Climate resiliency must be achieved. Building resiliency against the adverse effect of climate change is essential for safeguarding our African communities and economies. Nigeria is implementing climate-smart agricultural practices to enhance food security while reducing environmental impacts. The government has approved several developmental policies such as National Clean Cooking Gas Policy, which is aimed at promoting clean energy, environment, and health benefit and socio-economic development in our region. We believe the sustainable development must be inclusive. We are therefore working tirelessly to ensure that our policies promote equity and social justice, leaving no one behind. Challenges versus opportunities in Nigeria, yes, there are, and there will continue to be challenges. But how do you mitigate that? We face serious challenges, environmental challenges, including deforestation, desertification, coastal erosion, flooding, pollution, and many other negative impacts of climate change. Lake Chad continues to shrink every year. Livelihood of people continue to be threatened. Our government is working with local communities to implement solutions to mitigate these effects and help us build resilience in the face of environmental challenges. For resources, to promote a green economy in Africa, we must focus on integrating sustainable practices in all sectors of our economy. These investments are capital intensive in nature, and it required international support from partner countries, including multinational organizations. Developmental partners and individuals who shared our vision of a sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future must be included. Nigeria became the first country in Africa to initiate funding for green projects through sovereign green bond proceeds, the third issuance of which is currently in progress. We urge investors to partner with us in this regard. Our government remains committed to providing an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Harnessing technology and innovation is key to driving sustainable development. We agree. Nigeria is increasingly embracing new technologies like clean energy, water conservation, land and forest restoration, waste management, and circular economy. We will partner with global leaders in harnessing the power of technology. We are finding new and innovative ways to address our environmental challenges. We have arable agricultural lands for advanced technological farming, including a brighter future for artificial intelligence. Global collaborations are challenges that we must overcome. And global solution will only be effective if we work together in the spirit of mutual respect and a shared future. Nigerian government believes that sustainable development is not just a national issue, but a global imperative. We must continue to strengthen international cooperation at regional and global levels to achieve the sustainable developmental goals and mitigate the effects of climate change. Dear esteemed delegates, I would like to stress here, in addition to everything you've heard in the last few days, the most impactful image that I'm taking away from here with your support is the impact of those children that on the first day waved the banner of United Emirates Republic, asking us, all of us, to stand up, sustain the planet Earth for the future that we want to bequeath unto them. Thank you very much.
All right, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the world stage in Abu Dhabi, the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week. And if you paid attention to the speech by the president, of course, it reassures Nigerians that we are on the right path in terms of sustainable development. Claire, I'm sure you have some thoughts as regards what the president said.
I actually took note of very critical points that the president made. First of all, of course, he made a presentation on climate imperativeness into an economic prosperity. That's from the perspectives from the Nigerian perspectives, and of course he did talk about Nigeria's leading role, of course, as a big brother in Africa, and that Nigeria is not, of course, ignorant of its leadership role in this matter. But of course, he spoke against three pillars. Most importantly, is energy transition and environmental sustainability, and there are targets. He said Nigeria aims at achieving zero target gas emission by 2060. He also talked about our utilization of compressed natural gas and, of course, transiting into electric vehicle usage through policies and, of course, promoting equity and social justice. He emphasized the problems Nigeria as a country is going through in terms of climate change, and mentioned three specific issues of deforestation, desertification, pollution, flooding, and so many, and so on and so forth. So these are quite germane, and I thought the president did excellently well, and his points were clear. What he intends to do as a leading, African leader is also clear.
Yes.
Maybe we want to speak a little about the issue. Maybe what do you think?
Well, these issues, first of all, they are real. When you come about issues of climate change, issues of sustainability, and environmental degradation, these are key issues. And taking it from there to actually see the nexus or the connection between that and even conflict, what we're suffering today, you find out that as these factors intensify, as we have flood, as we have drought here and there, and as we have all these issues, the resources become scarce, and therefore the competition for that resources becomes a major concern that fuels wars. People move from one place to the other. In the North Central, we used to have the issue of the herder-farmer issue, which we know that is because of the movement. And what brings that? The president alluded to that, the drying of the Lake Chad. over the years, and because of that, there is no what these animals could feed on and so on. And I think Nigeria is doing something very good with the issue of the livestock, Ministry for Livestock. Now, if we get it right, we have Ministry of Environment, we have focusing on particular areas, developing policies, but also implementing strategies that ensure that we make the best use of the resources that we have. He also mentioned something about the issue of natural resources. Now, natural resources also could be a blessing or a curse. I mean, a blessing or a curse, depending on how we utilize them. But also, importantly, how we add value to them.
I'm sorry, before we go deep into Mr. President's presentation, so we don't lose focus of why we're here. Of course, we know that veteran Morenike, is also itching to speak. But I started with, speaking briefly to us, talking us through, you understand, the context of this traditions and celebrations that are associated with Armed Forces Day. And in a way, it does also relate to, the issues that Mr. President highlighted, which are fueling crisis
everywhere,
in different parts of the country. So,
this is, like you rightly said, the name was changed from Armed Forces Remembrance Day to Armed Forces Celebration. Very important. It's just a change of few words, but it means it connotes so much because like a popular musician said, celebrate me even while I'm still alive. So we have to bring up policies and be deliberate about them that ensures that while the soldier or the security force member is serving, there is so much or there is enough that is put in place to ensure that he gives his best. And so that we don't have to wait until the day we say that, that person is dead, then we celebrate them in death. No. Give them or put in place policies, put in place structures that ensure that while they are serving, because, I mean, let's face it, military service or this service is unique in its by nature. It's about the only profession that tells you that you are putting at stake or what you're bringing to the table is the most important thing to you, your life. Whether you get in from day one, the day you are recruited, either by impliedly or you're told directly, but you've seen also that what you're putting on the table is your life. So if you are lucky that you get away or you get out with your life, then you're just lucky. But throughout the period that you're serving, that life is there, is on the table. You cannot just say, I wouldn't give it up.
Life is at stake.
Yes, so life is at stake. So if anybody that is given that, for the period that he puts that, I think that everything must be made or be put in place to ensure that while he's there in the front, while he's there to ensure that everybody enjoys the peace and liberty that we all enjoy, that to the best of our ability, policies and procedures or infrastructure is made available or put in place to ensure that they get at least at the minimum.
To ensure that they are covered. At least covered.
All right. Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired. Thank you so much. But let's also hear the perspective of veteran Morenike Henry, the National Coordinator of Female Veterans Association. You told us off camera that you served in the Army for about 18 years. Tell us, tell us about the experience of a female soldier. Most times we always talk about the male soldiers. Yes, and tell us why it is important, that we have this day. Every year we always celebrate, the Armed Forces Day. Why is it key? Why is it important?
It's a very important day, like I've always been saying, for somebody to lead his family and decide to join the military. It's even a great thing because you are not sure of coming back home. You are not even sure of meeting your family again. It's a sacrifice. That day must be celebrated, not until they die. The Chief of Defense Staff that we have right now General Musai. He has been a very, very good Chief of Defense Staff, because a leader that knows that he have to go out and speak for his soldiers, that the soldiers must be taken care of, is a leader. And a leader that listens is a leader. And also at the same time appreciate the president, because he always listens and give what we ask for.
Yeah, but you have not share with us first and foremost the experience of a female soldier.
Like I was telling the commander today when we were outside, they don't celebrate the female soldier, and we went on the same training with them. Even the soldiers and the officers, we have the same training with the men. If not recently, they start complaining that if I leave my husband, I may end up losing him. That they now look into it and said, okay, the female should be serving where their husband is. Before, they don't even look into that. They post you to wherever they want to post you to. At the end of the day, you may end up not even having an husband. You may not even end up not having your own home. That is the experience.
How does it feel? Being in the medical corps, I'm sure you had a few experiences with those on the field. Yeah. Those who actually are on the field with weapons and all. The women and the men. How do the men in the military relate with the female soldiers? Just to give us a.
When we're in the field, we see ourselves like male. We don't see ourselves like female, because you feel that you're going to the same training with them. You can do the same thing as them. So we don't see ourselves as female.
Okay, let me bring in retired Major Gabriel Adofiku. Major, you retired as a major, and I know growing up in the barracks, I wonder if we have good to see you, Major, by the way. Growing up in the barracks, there's this awe that surrounds, majors when they come around. And I know that usually they are the boss, of a small company size of soldiers. And what we used to know about majors is that they are the ones that carry out or execute major strategies during operations. Share with us your experience as, a serving major and a retired major.
First of all, before I do that, permit me in just a few seconds to sincerely appreciate the NTA and indeed your crew this morning. I'm fulfilled and excited being with you this time after 1 year on the same program. Fulfilled in the sense that your last summary during your newspaper review with Mr. Chukudi summed up all that needed to be said about today. And I just wish it could be syndicated to other stations so that they understand what the military is all about and indeed why we are celebrating today. And then secondly, excited because I want to congratulate our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency, for a feat he has performed that makes me excited today. Today, he's not owing the veteran any other allowances. I don't want to talk about the story of how that has come to be, but I want to appreciate him for that bold step. He acted like the commander-in-chief. And the veterans, I think if I speak for them, are excited in the country today. Now, coming back to your statement, in the management structure in the armed forces, the major is the point in the ranking. The major is the point where there is a conversion of concepts into action. Therefore, in operations, he translates the plans of his commanders into the enemy receiving effect that he wants. Therefore, he's strategic. He's a very strategic point. In retirement, the joy of the major is that everybody sees you as a major and not a minor. The society reads you as a major and not a minor. If you say you are lieutenant colonel, oh, they need to interpret what that means. But if you say you are a major, oh, you are a major player. I think in a very simplistic manner, one will quickly explain that out as it is. So, in retirement, nobody in service expects to be shot in that major. You expect to go beyond major. But when you come out as major, you work chest out, chin in, even in retirement. I think that's the quick summary I could give to you in, explaining what the joy is in being a major in retirement. Commander, don't feel I'm letting you down, because if I say wing commander, everybody's going to ask, where's the wing? And where's the, is it grounded or still airborne? And for my sister Morenike there, if I say, what's the vet all about? She's going to tell me, if you dare insist, I'm going to take out one more of your tooth. So once again, I want to say thank you. I'm excited being on the studio this morning, celebrating the armed forces and both living and the dead. Thank you.
Many thanks, Major. Indeed, you're Major on this program, and we're glad that we have you with us, Major Gabriel Adofiku. But I would like to stay with you. You just celebrated the president for paying all the allowances of veterans. But I want us to speak, because when the wing commander was talking, he talked about celebrating the heroes not when they're dead, but while they're still alive. And we know there's still, so many military men still in service now. The veterans are excited, like you have said, and that's good news. We're excited about that. But tell us about those still in service. What would you say? You have information of how they're being treated, their welfare and all. Would you say that Nigeria, all of us, were doing the needful, were taking good care of our men on the field?
I would say there is still much more to be done in taking care of the men in the field. You see, taking care of the men in the field comes in 3 phases. First, equipping the men. We need to move with the technology, move with the combat culture that is evolving, and then equip them accordingly to match that, if not surpass it. The second bit of it is the human spirit that is involved, called the soldier. He needs to be adequately taken care of. His welfare is not just himself physically there, even his family back home. The barrack arrangement, the welfare support system for them at home should be reviewed constantly and upgraded as the case would be. And then thirdly is the societal support system to the soldier. Like was mentioned earlier by the wing commander, and indeed during your summary, during the newspaper review, the society has to rejig and reshapen its value system towards the military. You see, these things we are talking about, it's not easy to sit down and say, I am available to be killed the next moment for a nation. But these guys are people who have opted for that. And so we need to give them that push. Like the commander mentioned, I think it was Chukudi, he said if you are in the US or in Europe, a soldier comes to the airport, everybody gives him the way to move on. They are not just appreciating that man for his beauty or his handsomeness. They are appreciating the fact of the role he is playing. I think we have to work hard on our society to begin to know that the soldier is not just a salaried man. That will morally boost the playing capacity or the acting capacity of the soldier out there in the field. I want to say again, there's a lot more we can do to improve their situation. How do we deliver the logistics of survival to them? How do we deliver the logistics of carrying out their roles? And how do we make them constantly morally good to go, as we would normally say in the airborne? So, by way of summary, there's a lot we still need to do for the soldiers.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Major. Thank you very much. And I'm just wondering, I'm coming back again to the studio. Wing Commander, are there, outstanding stories of resilience that we can attribute to the Nigerian Armed Forces?
Yes, the Nigerian Armed Forces, known by its peers across the world, because we train and fight with our contemporaries across the world. I give you a personal example. I was in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I served for 2 years. I was a team leader at a site somewhere in this eastern Congo, where it's still there, it's rife and so on. And you find out that you go to places that are really challenging. You meet rebel leaders then between 2020 to 2010 to 2012. That's when I started.
These are fighting men in Borno in those days. And that's you could see some of them. These are the things they are exposed to. Some of you are exposed to.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. In Maiduguri. So
Maiduguri.
you find out that both globally and locally, the Nigerian soldier has shown resilience. There are examples of where the Nigerian soldier has been the one that is leading the way. They're fearless. I mean, the fact is that if you, with the little support, the Nigerian soldier has that courage. Is built in a way because of the training that they're given. You find out that they fight with the least facilities available, or within the most challenging circumstance and even terrain. I give you an example here, even in Maiduguri, someone that grew up, say, in Lagos or somewhere in the south where the terrain is completely different. And that's what he knows, that's what he's been. But all of a sudden you pick that guy to Maiduguri. Look at the difference in terms of the terrain and so on.
Yes.
But you will be shocked how they quickly adapt and perform.
And these are young men.
Yes, they are young men at their prime, at putting all that energy. Look, it's a service that a lot of people join because of their love for the country.
Some of
they
them
join
are less than 20
exactly.
years.
Yes.
Look, when you are there in the military, when you're training, honestly, it's when we come out now that we start thinking, oh well, I was sacrificing my life. We don't think of it that way.
Look at this. I wish we could get that shot again. Yeah. He was speaking to us about the bullet hole.
Exactly.
Yes,
in his body.
Yes, no, not in his body.
In the car.
In the car. Yes.
That would have just missed him.
Exactly, that missed him.
Yes, and as she's saying, it could as well be in his body.
In his body.
It could as well been parts of. If you go to the hospitals, where the military hospitals and so on, and where they're taking treatments, you will see that even in that, lots of them are saying when they cry tears, it's not of the pains. It's like, when am I going back to join my, yes, when am I joining my colleagues? When am I because, like I said, when you join the military, it must be you are doing that because you feel that you want to serve your nation.
That's why I want to ask the female veteran, what was your motivation?
Like, when I joined, my parents never liked it. But I feel that wearing the uniform, go into the war front. Even when I retired, I went to Maiduguri. I saw them. I feel like putting on the uniform again to come and join them and follow them in fighting and whatever they are doing over there. I asked questions. How do you feel? They said, sometimes no food. I said, that's fine. Sometimes nobody even bring waters for them. But the interest of the nation is in them. Like he said,
is that something they drink or eat?
It's just interest. Just interest.
That makes you lose yourself. You lose.
When you are there, when you are in the midst of this situation, you forget everything outside. All what you want to achieve what you are going there for. Whether you are a man, you are a woman, you don't even think what is happening anywhere. I want to achieve. I want to go. That's what will always be in your mind.
But let me find out from the major. He's retired and he's excited that he gets the major share of anything, of everything. Outside the position, is there anything that you regret, about your time with the military. You know, just speak like there's a young person who wants to be in the military listening to you now. Is there anything that, you know, experience that, you know, you regret or something that you wish you could change?
First of all, let me quickly state here. The military is not a job. It's not a job. It's a way of life. And you are trained, packaged to live that way of life. That is why, like was quickly mentioned, when even injured and in hospital recuperating, the spirit is, when do I get back there? Because that is where you belong. That is where you've been conditioned to belong. So, for that, it's not a job that you can say, this is 1 hour for my work, this is another hour for my relaxation. No. Now come quickly to the question you asked. If you ask me, I will tell every young man listening and watching this morning that there is nothing to regret in being in the military. Nothing to regret. Rather, there's a lot I have gained, and there's a lot I have been using from the military in my civil life. I won't want to go into some of the monetary compensations that go with some of the quality of trainings you pick up from the military that I now use in the civil. But I must tell you that there is everything for everybody to gain in the military. Every day, I have no regrets being in the military. If I'm called in again, in fact, I look forward to being called in, maybe this time from a less active perspective. I can't do you a 45 now, you know, push up or press up, but I could try something close to 30, you know, to still hang around with the airborne guys. Those are the things that make the life in it. It's not a place where, of course, I must state this. When we were in government, the military was in government, there was a lot for us to regret because we were playing a role that was outside our primary constitutional role. And so there was the friction and aberration that goes with that role. And there are things that we don't like, you know, looking back onto. But pushing on forward, there's nothing to regret in the military. There's everything to be joyful about. I feel very proud when I see those young guys hanging around those armored cars, moving on with the machine guns, and dealing decisively with the enemy. They don't go there to joke, and I know life is not a joke. So I think that is the truth. There's nothing to regret.
Adafiku, I want to tell you that what I regret is not joining the military. And that's my story. Because at the time, I looked forward. I wanted to join, but I wanted to be part of the infantry, and that's my story. So that's my regret. But let's look at the mentality of the Nigerian soldier. You have told us, and everybody here says, this is not a job. It's a calling, as the men of the clergy would say. Let's look at the psyche and mentality of the Nigerian soldier. People who are told, see, your life is on the line. If you go in, you may not come back. You know it. I mean, that's your reality. Yet you take up that job. And does that mentality still define, you know, the attitude and behavior of our men today?
Let me quickly say this to you, ma'am. First of all, I join you in that regret that you didn't join the military. The secret in the military is that your focus is not on your inconveniences. Your focus is on achieving the national goal that is set before you, that is prescribed to you by your commanders. Therefore, the soldier does not have that semantics or emotional attachment in the process of doing his job. All he wants is get the job done, get it done on the prescribed time. So he doesn't have room for those analyses. In this, look, when some of us get to meet them now, those of us who are superannuated or retired, when we get to meet them in the field, I wish one day you are around and you see the joy that comes back, not just to them alone, but even to us. It's recreative when we meet them. Therefore, the military setup is such that everybody there operates like a family. And when you run a well-knit family, you don't have room for semantics. So it's the spirit. I'm excited telling you today that from my recent visits in the field, the soldiers, the morale, as we say, is very high, not just high. And that is the kind of thing. We need to sustain that momentum by supporting them as a nation, as a people, in whatever forms we can. That is my preaching to everybody. But for the men on the field, I can assure you they are ready to go any moment. They are doing well, and today they have, like my sister said, a good CDS, the commander, the chief of defense staff, and service chiefs. They are all doing very well. My friends in the Air Force, when they tell me stories of their platforms of operations now, I get more excited. And we need to boost them, to advance them. For us out there in the field, they are doing very well. For your regret, I sympathize with you, but there is room. I think Morenike can fix you into one of those aspects. Thank you.
Major, many thanks. You know, just listening to you, I can feel the excitement and, you know, the happiness, you know, of being someone who served in the military. And like you said, you want to go back. Talking about the press-ups, you and the wing commander, I'll ask him how many he can do now since he has left. But let me get to you, Madam Morenike Henry, because I think you need to join the parade, so you may be leaving us shortly. But speak to us about what you would like to see being done differently to those, you know, still serving, and of course to veterans, you know, just so that their morale. By the way, when he was talking about the morale of the team being very high, the troops being very high, I particularly like seeing, maybe in films, in pictures, the gyration of the soldiers. You see, you see, I mean, the way they sing and dance and, you know, do all that stuff. It gets me really attracted to them.
You know, sometimes they say there is an injection they give to soldier. There is nothing given to them. It's just, you know, interest. I want to be there. I want to be among. I want to be this person to achieve this thing. That's just the spirit. It's like just like a spirit behind the uniform. Once you are in that uniform, you are motivated to do anything.
So what you would want, you know, to see being done, you know, either by the government, the people?
Actually, I've been campaigning. It's not for the government alone. Even the civilians, the corporate servicing, the so-called the big men, the NGOs, they can still come on their behalf. Because if you are saying that we're leaving it for the government alone, how many will government be able to do? I serve in veteran office in UK. It's not left for the government alone. We have agencies that comes to help them, especially the old age, the old ones, like the female that we're talking about. I have a case of 70, 75 years old woman, no child, no husband. And you know, in this country, in Africa as a whole, if you are not married, no child, they give you a name, they ever dark said that woman is a wench. The woman has used her womb, not knowing that when she was serving, she don't even know that time was going. You understand? Because all is just to put her best into whatever she's doing.
I was going to ask you just before you go, because this is, I'm hearing Female Veterans Association for the first time.
Yes.
So, and I'm just wondering, you know, why do we now have a female veteran? Why must we have a Female Veterans Association outside of the Legion?
You know, what really happened is that we're number 6 in the whole world. America is number 1. We find out that anything that needs to be done should be from the women. Women can push. Women can talk. Women can motivate. We went on training in America, the veteran training. I met a lady there. She said they have a female veteran group. I said, well, we don't have that. We always follow the men. He said, no, we should have something like a female military veteran that will speak for the men and speak for the old age women. Because sometimes we are very few among the men. You understand? In a state, sometimes maybe they have 2 out of 60, 2 women. And sometimes the women are not remembered. But once we have this female veteran association, definitely you remember who your senior are. Who is this person? Does this person need help? Do I need to go to her? You are working at your colleagues. You know who is married, who is not married. You know who needs help and who don't need help. With this, our female veteran, we can get along to ourselves and help ourselves in one way or other and still help our men. Like this morning, the alerts they got is from female veteran that the alerts came in from.
Came in from them.
Yes.
All right, let me thank you.
When she says alert on national TV, then I'm worried.
Morenike Henry, National Coordinator, Female Veterans Association. Regrettably, we have to let you go.
Thank you
because
very
you need
much.
to be at the parade ground.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for
because my
obliging
females
us
have been
here
calling me that. Where is this woman?
All right, let's take a short break
Thank
to
you very
allow
much.
veteran Morenike take her leave. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
Well, creativity is so broad. I would say whatever it is that you're creative about, it takes a lot of practice before you become very good. So if it's something you intend to pursue, it's something you have to keep doing. You have to keep practicing. It's not going to be an overnight success, which a lot of people look for. But if it's something you're determined about, but the drawback rather, is that you need what is called staying power. While you're developing your creativity, you need to earn a living. So I know that's where the conflict usually comes in, especially with the hardship in the country and all that. But I think a lot of encouragement from the private sector to create incubator hubs. We've had some of those in tech. We need those across various sectors as well. Incubator hubs where these ideas can come in, be developed, be encouraged, be funded, and then we can expand it from there.
Content creation, while it may sometimes get a bad rap, I think it's actually very important because we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves living our lives. We have to show and share our stories. I think that's very important. Now, the job after that is to be able to digitize those stories into something that can provide data and insights, that can ensure that we can be able to support whole-scale industry in these spaces, to ensure that the amount of money that each content creator is getting exceeds what is currently happening for many content creators. The same content creator who lives in Nigeria will be earning less than a content creator who's living in the US or the UK or Japan. And we've got to also bridge that gap because most of that is being driven by the ability of the consumers to pay for those goods, and also the pricing that many of these platforms have. So I think this is not the job for the content creators and the young people. This is a job for people like myself in the ecosystem who can help support the right pricing, to advocate for the right policies, to support economic development for consumers who want to consume that information and that content. And even beyond content creation, we're seeing that many people are stepping in behind the camera. They are producers, editorial, they are graphic designers, they are in technology, but maybe not in front of the camera. And what we want to say is also, we need those people too. We need those stakeholders involved. And the job of many policymakers, DFIs, is to ensure that the strategic investments get there, the collaboration gets there, and we're deliberate in how we're saying we want to support innovation in our continent.
There's an age group where your brain function is at its maximum, and that's the age group we call the youth, isn't it? So we need the youth, the younger generation who have the energy, the imagination to be equipped with the proper education, the proper tools, the proper encouragement, and then take what innovation they bring out and turn it into mainstream developmental ideas. So you find a lot of things that are invented by people in school or straight out of school. We need our patent laws to work. so that they can earn a living from their imagination. Once the imagination is just for a one-year festival or an event, then it's not worth it. Somebody creates something, we need to get our patent laws to work, we need to enforce them, and then the private sector can use those patents to develop things and encourage more people to be more creative. Back in the days, yes, you had to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. Today we have programmers, we have AI specialists, we have people that are doing ethics on genetics. Those things didn't exist 50 years ago. So there are new areas that need to be explored. The question really, apart from the parenting, does our educational curriculum cater for what the needs of the world will be in the next generation? Because our curriculum is dealing with the issues of the past. We need the government and the private sector to redo the entire educational curriculum to be forward-focused, not retroactive.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
All right, many thanks for joining us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA, and we're still celebrating the armed forces today, and our guests are still very much with us. I'd like to, speak to Wing Commander Musa Salman, who retired now. Of course, we're about to round off the conversation. We've talked so much about, the life of, military personnel. Everyone here has shared their experiences and all, but I want you to speak to us about what we can do. You were the one who made that statement that celebrating those who are alive. And of course, yes, we celebrate the veterans who are with us. We also must celebrate the troops that are still serving and still keeping this nation as one. Now, what would you want us to do differently? Of course, I know the government's already doing so much. I mean, the budget every year is always about security, taking top priority and all. But, are there other areas you think that we should focus on just so that we can get our troops, always excited on the field?
So I'm going to take a look at it from 2 or even 3, looking at the military itself, what I think it should do or it could do to make things or life better for its personnel. Then maybe government, then the wider society. So starting with the military, it's important that we imbibe the culture of accountability. If resources are allocated, if resources are earmarked for something, we have to ensure that it's used for that. Whether it's provision of housing, is provision for other facilities that ensure that when the soldier is in the field, when the soldier is away, he is sure that his family back home is taken care of and is provided with the basics. Basics like healthcare, basics like accommodation, basics like education for their children, and even water, and so many basic things, so that he or she now is not constantly being reminded that those things are not there, so that he's not put under that pressure that those things are missing and the family is in a state of despair. And not only that, in terms...
Wing, I'm sorry again. Our correspondent, Najatu Tijani, is at the Eagle Square, National Arcade, I beg your pardon, and that is Najatu. Najatu, I'm sure the environment is a very solemn one. Please talk to us. What's taking place at the moment?
For the purpose of these events. The Defense Health Maintenance Limited.
Yes, Claire, this is is a solemn occasion referred to as the most solemn occasion, the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. Previously, it was just called Armed Forces Remembrance Day, but because there was a lot of, there was some misconception that it was solely to remember the fallen heroes, it has now been expanded. Celebration has been added to also celebrate those who are still serving. So we're at the National Arcade, where the cenotaph of the unknown soldier stands. And the unknown soldier is a symbol that points to the Civil War, of course, which helps Nigerians to remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And these days, of course, the symbol has been expanded to honor and remember those who have served, who have retired, those who are still serving, and of course their families as well, families of the fallen and families of those who are actually still serving. And to talk more about those who have served, that's the veterans, is the national chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Major General Abdul Malik Jibril, who will tell us more about the role that of course, veterans have played, the roles that the veterans have played.
The DHML corporate headquarters is at legislative quarters, Apo Gudu district of the Federal.
So let me just walk over to.
Additionally, the DHML has state offices in all the states of the Federation, each headed by a state manager.
So thank you very much, sir. Can you tell us a bit more about what, can you tell Nigerians a bit more about the role that veterans have played, first of all, before we get into the Remembrance Day proper?
Well, you see, the veterans, before they are qualified to be veterans, they must have served in the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And they have made individual and collective contribution toward national building. And their own specific role actually is providing territorial defense of our beloved country, Nigeria, both on land, on sea, and on air. So through their career, they have undergone a series of training. And of course, that is preparing them to take up any challenge locally or internationally. And that's why, if you go from his historical background, First and Second World War, Nigerian soldiers have participated. And that was even under the colonial days. And immediately after independence, we are now on our own, and we defined our own role, and we start participating on international peacekeeping and peace management. And then we were unfortunately challenged during the 1967 when we had the unfortunate civil war that lasted for 30 months, that's 67 to 70. All these places I mentioned, our soldiers have made supreme sacrifices. And so today, and even after civil war, we have internal security operations that our soldiers are involved, and a lot of them also made supreme sacrifice. We also have regional and sub-regional operations, that's the at African level, AU level, and also in West Africa, ECOMOG, and all these areas, our soldiers participated and made the supreme sacrifice. Coming back home, we are here today, you find a lot of our soldiers are spread across the country, taking part in internal security operations, trying to conquer the banditry, the Boko Haram, and IPOB. So these are some of the challenges. And making sacrifice is in different forms. Those who have even served and left, they have also made a sacrifice because they participated in these wars. And they are able to survive it and come back home and meet their family. But some are unfortunate to be able to make it. They made the spring sacrifice, and so this day actually is set aside to remember, to celebrate, and also remember those who made such sacrifices. And
let's talk about up till now, veterans are still being called upon. They are consulted to give advice. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. You see, these are individuals that are well trained. Nigerian government and Nigerian citizens have paid a lot of money for their training, and unfortunately, or in line with the terms and conditions of service, when you serve certain number of years, you have no option but to go. So bearing that in mind, the system, the military leadership have devised a means that those who are still strong and who are still eligible and vibrant mentally are engaged to continue to give the same service they used to render. Perhaps this time around it will not be going to the combat, but on advisory role. And that process is actually very encouraging and welcome, because it affords some of our still very strong veterans who are still ready to contribute to the nation building and to secure our country. So the system is there, the services are implementing it. So I think that is very commendable.
So finally, sir, let's talk about, of course, you cannot talk about veterans without welfare. And of course, not just, but for now we'll restrict it to the veterans. You were on NTA Tuesday Live last night where you touched on some of these subjects.
Yeah, well, in terms of welfare, we can always say that there's still room for improvement. The federal government has been trying its best, but we are still not there, because there are a lot of retirees that are facing health challenges. You just heard the commentary about the Defense Health Maintenance, which extend the coverage of medical assistance beyond just 4 children, 1 wife and 4 children that are below 18. They have extended it to some level where they can accommodate those who are even after. But there are people that are physically challenged as a result of operation. Such, the services are also trying. Some of them are taken abroad where the complications are so serious, and so that is also very encouraging. And the importance of such welfare arrangement, you know, taking care of the veterans, assisting them, it has double advantage. One, it sends messages to those who are serving that even when you sustain injury, or even when you make the supreme sacrifices, of family will not be just left like that. And therefore, the serving soldiers will have every reason to die or to make maximum sacrifice for their country. And the second aspect is that those who have also survived and they are living, that it's not that as a result of probably having pension, and their pension is just enough for you know. In addition to pension, other welfare arrangements have been made. Recently, I'm sure you are aware that Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, signed a revised terms and conditions of service for both officers and soldiers. That has taken care of additional welfare arrangement for people who have made, who served this country, whether living or dead. So we are very hopeful, and I said the government is trying, but still there is room for improvement.
Thank you very much, sir. I've been speaking with the national chairman of the Nigerian Legion, that's Major General Abdulmalik Jibril, telling us about how the veterans have been able to serve the nation, and that this day is not just about the veterans. Just a quick recap about what Major General Jibril said. Veterans have served this nation for years and years, for decades, and they have made a major contribution, and those who survived the war and are alive are still making contributions. They are being consulted because of their expertise. As the national chairman said, the nation has spent a lot of expenses training these people. They are highly professional, experts in their fields, and the fact that they are retired does not mean that they cannot continue to contribute to the national security strategies which the country continues to evolve and sharpen to make the country more secure. And now Claire and Yeri, just to quickly let you know that some guests have already started arriving. Starting with
Thank you. We just have to leave it at that so that you quickly... All right, that was Najatu, our correspondent, speaking to us from the National Arcade. But let's quickly take one or two more questions before we just conclude and hand over to our live studio for the continuation of the Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day. And I'm just wondering that everybody, even the female veteran who just left earlier on, talked about the fact that, government is doing it. Henry talked about the improved budgeting allocation, for security and all of that. But there's also the need to find out how the military itself, is looking inwards in terms of utilization of, the enormous, funds allocated to the sector, and how it's using that to help members of its own, its members rather.
Well, thank you so much. That's a very important conversation to have because if you look at budgetary allocations every year, year in, year out, and here we are not concerned with the dynamics of whether there are releases or not, but looking at the figures that are out there, you find out that we in the military, or the military has to look inwards and hold itself more accountable and to a higher standard. With the figures that are being rolled out every day, you should understand, or it will be important, that yes, what is done, there's lots that is done, but much can be done. Resources can be more, there could be more prudent use of those resources, and there could be better way of prioritizing what is used for the welfare of the soldier. Because like Major, not minor, said, the soldier is the most important person or the most important link in the armed forces, because eventually he translates what the commanders are saying and so on. So the welfare and the well-being of the soldier is paramount. And until we are able to hold ourselves accountable, until we are able to put in more judicious use of the meager resources, we can never have.
When you say judicious, would you say, the trend of using it to build universities is the way to go?
Absolutely not. We've had, thanks to Comrade Adams Oshomole, the Comrade Senator, he brought up that, and it has been, yes, the military provides education, but that is not tertiary or higher education. That is not the primary responsibility there. So resources that should be dedicated to that, everywhere. We have how many military universities?
Wing Commander, I have to put you on hold to allow Major Adofiko to say a few words before we close and hand over to our live studio. Yes. Major Adofiko, I would like you to speak to us. How can the military, because we've said that it is not all the time that we'll call out, the federal government to also, to come to the aid of both serving, retired, and the, families of fallen heroes. How can the military also, look inwards, as Wing Commander has just said, and judiciously utilize the financial resources that accrue to it?
I'm tempted not to delve into the degree of judicious use, mark that word, judicious use of their resources for the following reasons. One, the economic dynamics of the times. If you are giving somebody 10 billion for a particular subhead, and within a period, if inflation takes that 10 billion and reduces it and noting that much of your expenses are foreign-based, you will find out that there are a lot that we need to review from time to time to define the adequacy of funds that go to them. But I think what they can do is, from time to time, they look, when we talk of looking inwards, look into your system. What are the things that take away chunks of our money, that makes it impossible for us to address our basic welfare requirements? And then you begin to articulate ideas. For example, locally manufacturing, local fabrication, local development of some of the equipment that we use, which I know in recent times the DIC in Kaduna has been, very much involved in collaboration with the National Meteorological, research centers. They've been working on to upgrade. Those are the kind of things that can release the funds for us to channel into more welfare needs. Taking that aside, for the veterans, I want to say this to Nigerians. I have said it several times. There is so much resources, mental resources, reserved, produced by the Nigerian government and Nigerian people's resources in the veterans that should be immediately tapped and brought back to be used for the good of the nation and indeed for the military. For example, in across-border skills, from the high-tech engineering, medical, to the technical arms, there are a lot of them. I give you a trending statistics. Currently, averagely in our various motor parks, there are about 3% of the drivers you meet there will tell you they have one time or the other served in the military. We don't know where they are. We could use them. They could be on standby team that can be cultivated into the system. Similarly, plumbers. Similarly, doctors. Similarly, engineers. So I want to, from this point, see if we can work out an action plan to mobilize and harness these skills that are available for national development. I'm talking from the point of view of a development consultant. These are the things that we can bring back and reduce the national burden of defense on the nation.
Indeed, I think that's a fine place to leave this conversation. Of course, we know it's a continuous one, but at this point, we would say may God bless the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and may God bless Nigeria. We wish you all the best as you celebrate. Major General Ado Fiku, retired security consultant, MD CEO, Damex Consultant Limited, development and security consultant as well. Many thanks for being our guest. We appreciate you. All right. I also want to thank Wing Commander Musa Salmano, retired PhD. Don't forget about the press-ups that you need to do. All right. So thank you so much for being our guest. And of course, we also appreciate Morenike Henry, who had to leave us to join the parade. So that's our package on Good Morning Nigeria today. The conversation on the Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day continues on the network service of the NTA. I would, of course, our colleague, Ayodeji Makinde, is on the other side, and he will continue the conversation from there. Of course, me and Ray John.
I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul-Razak. We thank you, but we can see Ayodeji Makinde. Ayo, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you're not enlisted in the army.
Interesting times are Claire and Favor here, Ray John there. Well, I should actually should have been enlisted about 2 decades ago, but issues came up and I just had to go to the university and couldn't make the short service. Thank you once again for handing over to us here in the studio. We are live in Abuja, and it's another January 15, a particular day in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is not to be forgotten. Remember, it was a day that effectively marked the end of the civil war, which Nigeria fought for about 3 years. Remember, the day also will go down in memory and honor of those who fought during the world wars, and also remembering significant moments in the history of our dear country. I'd like to welcome you into our studio from the Good Morning Nigeria studio, and we shall be taking a look at today's event that's going to hold at the National Arcade here in the Federal Capital Territory. We will be talking about the impact, the roles, and the effective service delivery that we keep getting from the Nigerian Armed Forces in terms of protecting the territorial integrity of the country, internal security, and keeping Nigeria safe for both residents and those visiting. With me in the studio that we will be discussing and also joining different centers as we have this conversation over the next few hours is Major Vincent Abiola, retired. He is the Secretary General of the Nigeria Legion. You're welcome to the special broadcast.
Thank you, and good morning.
All right, I'm also I've been able to reliably gather that defense correspondent Naja Atutijani is at the National Arcade, and she will be giving us also insights and expectations as we expect that colorful parade, a lane of wreath in memory of those who have fallen in the fight to keep Nigeria safe. Also remember the